Hi, this is Jamie Steinberg with Starry Constellation magazine. This is such an exceptional series for you, Oliver. Another dark character, perhaps, for you. Was there
Perhaps.
something? Was there
Maybe.
Love the
something about?
darkness.
That's right. Was there something about this role, or maybe an Agatha Christie novel that drew you to this?
I mean, I think there were a couple of things. The first being like Sam Yates, our director, who is an incredible theatre director and also subsequently a wonderful human being. Him and Angelica Houston and the what I found, my dad was a huge fan of Agatha Christie's, and sort of growing up we would watch them together quite a lot, and he would love trying to figure out, the sort of who done it a bit all. So I sort of really wanted to do it for him, and also the yes, the character is dark, and I may have played one or two in the past. But there was something so interesting about we've spoken about this, about the dynamic between Neville and Audrey that felt very much like it sort of harked back to a sort of Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, very kind of tumultuous love affair where they were playing games and it was so destructive and but necessary, and there was something about that I just I hadn't really ever read, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting, and um what a kind of interesting thing to get to play, this sort of pushing of human depravity that goes on between these two is really is a really interesting thing. So
Mm.
so it's sort of all of those things. I've
Mm.
spoken too much.
No, you haven't. Not at all.
Uh, I have to ask you about Kay and Audrey because they're quite opposites from each other, and Audrey seems a bit territorial, but is she also worried because Kay might be after Neville's finances?
I own
I
a gold mine.
I own a gold mine. That was cool.
Was
Um,
it?
I don't think she's maybe I think Kay is quite different to Audrey. So she's probably thinking all those things, but I don't know if she'd be worried about it. I think she'd be kind of I think she probably feels initially that Neville is an idiot for going for her. Do you know what I mean? I think she'd see Kay as quite beneath her, um, because of her class and because of how she sees the world. But then I think something happens where she starts to become quite curious of Kay and what she's about, um, and what the draw is. And I think probably the attraction that Neville has for Kay, Audrey kind of almost starts to have, and because they're so linked.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah, I never really thought about that. I don't know if she'd be worried about it or, and I guess like territorial, she's probably like numb to that. I think you said the word numb earlier, and I think that's definitely it. They're kind of numb to kind of the normal like associations with relationships that we'd have. But it's more, it's kind of an undercurrent of like, there's a game on the table, and she's like, okay, let's play. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the way she think.
Mm.
And then obviously there's so much vulnerability beneath that, but not that she's aware of until it starts to crack, because she just has so many layers of kind of numbing and masking
Mm.
and but yeah, yeah. I don't know if that answers the
But I think
question.
that's what's so interesting as well about the time period of and what Agatha Christie kind of taps into with this one is that, here are these people who are incredibly privileged people, um who find themselves in a way bored, and they're kind of pushing to feel something,
Mm, mm,
that they're I don't know. I just think there's something about that that is so interesting. That they keep.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think I don't know about Neville, but I feel like if Audrey will probably same, but like if they are met with like real intimacy, like honest intimacy, I don't think they'd even want it because they
No,
wouldn't know what to do with it.
no.
They'd just be like, I think there's a like when like there is characters I think that have do seek or have sought intimacy with Audrey, and she just doesn't really know like how to deal with that. So she just
Mm,
kind of maybe finds it like a bit kind of beneath her, or
Mm.
yeah. So I think there's
mm,
something in the kind of safety of the fact, yeah, they're kind
mm.
of numb to that a little bit.
Oliver, there's so many fascinating scenes. There's poignant ones, there's ones that startle you, there's ones that amaze you, there's ones that thrill you. What was maybe one or two favorite scenes you had of working on this, or maybe one you're most proud of the work you put into the scene for?
Ooh.
Tennis.
Well, we
Yeah,
can't
the
speak about
tennis scene.
Congrats.
Split Zero without it's a toss-up between the tennis and the darts. Um, uh, I don't really know. Um, I feel like we had a great time, like on all of our stuff. Like we had a
Yeah,
great there was I think all of those dinner scenes are quite interesting just because there's so
definitely.
much at play. Um, and you know that again, it's really hard doing press on this because you kind of can't talk about, you can't give away any spoilers or anything like that. But there is, you know, again, obviously, surprise, surprise, there's a murder that happens at some point, and I think that all of the stuff post that is really really interesting, and how everyone behaves. So yes, I don't really know. I don't think there is, but I can definitely tell you that tennis playing was not my favorite part. I can tell you the what my worst my my lowest point was tennis.
Yeah. This is in your head though, because I actually think you did such a brilliant job
What
with the
about you?
tennis.
What's your best and what's your worst moment?
Um, I think that it's hard to even pinpoint one scene, but I just think the aspect of like trying to figure out their relationship and the gameplay and the
Yeah.
dynamics. And like you said, I thought of straight away actually, and you said it was all the dinner table scenes, like
Mm,
the breakfast scenes and how they kind of interact and with Jack as well, or with Thomas.
mm,
And like yeah, just the different kind of like oh, like when you feel certain things, like when your character feels things or wants things, but then they play it so differently to how you would or how you'd expect. I
mm,
think that's really interesting. And that all came from like I found our interrogation of the characters the most enjoyable part because that informed all of those scenes. And then when it would happen naturally, with Sam's direction and stuff, you'd be like, oh, that's them, or do you know, like that's a really
mm.
fun thing. And then I think the hardest bit, oh God, I don't know. I don't know. Probably, yeah, we had
Me
a
playing
really
tennis.
watching you play in
Watching you
tennis
play tennis.
in my
All right.
warm coat. That was hard.
That was hard.
That was a
That
hard
was
day.
hard. I get it.
Sympathy was there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for your time. You're both exceptional in this.
Thank
Oh,
you
thank you
so
so
much.
much.